All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This is day one of our sermon challenge as we're working through the Psalms. Now, if you're doing the sermon challenge with us, what that is that every day we're going to take one psalm. I'm going to do a little 5-minute devotional or so on it. Going to read the psalm and then share just a handful of thoughts of what I believe God is saying in this psalm. And then we've got a challenge for you if you want to do some study on your own. It's basically to create your own sermon outline of the psalm that we're looking at. And I have a video on our YouTube channel. It's also posted on our Facebook page called the 2020 Sermon Challenge. And you can, for more information, if you want to understand what we're doing. But for those of you that are taking the sermon challenge, or you just want to follow along on our daily devotion as we look at the Psalms here during this coronavirus season, since for the most part we can't be getting together as a large group of people, we're having to find different ways that we can connect, and a lot of it's going to be virtual, like this. Psalm 1 says, "Oh, the joys of those," and I'm reading from the New Living Translation. Just one I like to read from. But anyway, "Oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or stand around with sinners, or join in with mockers. But they delight in the law of the Lord, meditating on it day and night. They are like trees planted along the riverbank, bearing fruit each season. Their leaves never wither, and they prosper in all they do. But not the wicked. They are like worthless chaff, scattered by the wind. They will be condemned at the time of judgment. Sinners will have no place among the godly. For the Lord watches over the path of the godly, but the path of the wicked leads to destruction." And as I look at this, there's a few thoughts that I just want to share. First portion there, the first verse especially, first two verses talks about what we tune into and what we tune out, tuning out and tuning in. We're reminded, and this is not just for times of crisis. There's a lot of things being said these days and very differing opinions on what's going on in our world today. I'm sure you've all know that. This isn't just wisdom for times of crisis. This is everyday wisdom. Be careful what you tune into and what you choose to tune out in your life, because ultimately we're going to see that it determines how productive your life is, what ultimately the end result of the life is that you live. And as I was thinking of this, fitting for the time we're living in, the first couple of verses talking about social distancing. It is talking about distancing yourself from those who are wicked, those who are sinners, those who are mockers. It's seasonal allergies. We're okay. But I just think it's funny, considering what we're going through, and right now, God's like, yeah, social distancing, that's something that you should be practicing all the time, not just in times of crisis. Isn't it interesting, when it comes to our health, we're all concerned about social distancing. But what about our spiritual condition? Do we distance ourselves from the wrong voices in life? I like this word mockers. It's one that of the three words there that stuck out to me. And to mock means, a mocker is someone who scorns, someone who mocks, someone who derides, someone who talks arrogantly. Basically, someone who is putting other people down and is sounding like they're the know-it-all, or talks in a way that would make it seem like their wisdom is better than everyone else's. And there's a lot of things being said, and some of them may be true these days. But if it's coming out with an attitude of arrogance or mockery, it isn't a voice from God, and it isn't wisdom. Because what's more important oftentimes in the health crisis we're facing is how we handle our relationships. And even if someone is speaking truth, if they're doing it in a mocking way, they're doing more damage than they are doing good. And I'm just going to say, this verse reminds us, look, if we're listening to things that are ultimately arrogant and mocking, we should be turning them off. It's not good. It's not godly. It can't lead you to a productive, godly life. And then the verse goes on to say, what is it like? So if we're someone that we choose to tune out the voices that aren't helpful, that aren't good in our life. And we then make effort to listen to God, to seek his wisdom, meditating day and night. And this is not talking about just in crisis. This is talking about in our everyday lives that we're making an effort to seek God's wisdom. It gives a picture of what our life is like. We'll be planted. We'll be secure. We'll be stable. Even in times of crisis, I don't believe that the righteous panic. Yes, we act urgently, but we don't act frantically. I believe a lot of righteous people are doing a lot of good at this time, but they're not doing it from a heart that's worried about what tomorrow brings. We do it from a heart that is confident that God has a good tomorrow for us, and so we're going to make the best of today, and we're going to help as many people get through this as we can. That's what happens when you're stable, when you're secure, when you're well planted. And the chapter that ends with a reminder about the end result for the wicked and the righteous. And, we believe in a heaven and a hell, and we believe in eternal destiny, and that they're two very different destinies. But what ultimately is the difference? The wicked, it says, ultimately end in destruction, but the Lord watches over the righteous. And what was the difference in this psalm? The difference is what they chose to tune into and what they chose to tune out of their lives. And I believe that's what the psalm is saying, is ultimately what you choose to listen to is ultimately going to influence how fruitful and productive your life is, but ultimately it's going to influence your eternal destiny. There are greater things to be concerned about than the virus that's going around. We should always be concerned about our eternity. I believe that there is going to be a great harvest. I believe many people are going to come to know the Lord after this. This season has passed us, and my desire is that the church, I believe that the church during this time, we need to be searching our hearts and allowing God to reveal sinful attitudes, maybe even some voices that we're listening to that we shouldn't be, and to draw us back to him so that when the time of harvest comes, we're in a position that we're ready to be fruitful for him, as verse 3 talks about. So I just challenge you today, as you go and study this, which I hope you do. I hope you take the sermon challenge. You can email your link to us here at Hilltop, office@hilltop.mn, or you can post it on our Facebook page, and we're going to be drawing a winner for an ESV study Bible every week. But I hope as you go that you dig into this and that God speaks to you. And remember, pray for our government officials. They have a lot of important decisions to make. And pray for those suffering from the virus, that God would intervene in a miraculous way and ultimately bring healing to them and to the spiritual condition of our nation as well. Thanks for joining in. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.